Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down big topics. And today, we're tackling a really big one, something that's at the very heart of how a company runs.
So let's jump right in. We're going to go on a quest to understand one of the biggest, most high-stakes decisions a business can make: choosing an enterprise resource planning system, or ERP for short. You got to think of this thing as the company's central nervous system. It connects literally everything, from finance to the supply chain, all into one single cohesive unit. So yeah, picking the right one, it's a huge deal.
Every great quest has to start with a why, right? You need a reason to get going. For an ERP system, that reason is called the business case. It's basically the map that explains why the journey is necessary and what treasure you're hoping to find at the end. Because let's be real, this isn't just about buying some new software. It's about fundamentally changing how the whole business works.
And the rewards, the treasure, can be massive. We're talking about having all your financial data in one spot so you can actually make smarter decisions. It means closing out the books at the end of the month way faster and not having tons of cash tied up in inventory you don't need. Plus, you get to automate all those boring manual tasks, work better with your partners, and get some amazing insights from all your data.
Now, you don't go on a quest this huge all by yourself, right? No way. You need a team of heroes, a kind of fellowship, to guide the way and make the tough calls.
So, let's meet the key players who are going to lead this charge. Each and every one of these roles is absolutely critical if this thing is going to succeed.
First up, you've got the steering committee. Think of them as the council of elders, the top execs who provide the funding and the vision. Then you have the project manager, who's the on-the-ground leader, the one cracking the whip and making sure everything stays on track. And finally, you have the selection team itself. This is a mix of managers, IT pros, and most importantly, the actual people who will be using the software every day. They're the ones who really dig in and evaluate everything.
Okay, so before the fellowship takes a single step, they have to draw a map. And I'm talking about a very, very detailed map. This map isn't about geography, though. It's about defining exactly what treasure they're looking for.
In the ERP world, this treasure map is called the Requirements document. And it is exactly what it sounds like. A massive, super detailed checklist of every single thing the new system has to be able to do to support the business, not just now, but for years down the road.
And here's a perfect little snapshot of just how specific that map has to be. Take just one area, like purchasing. The document breaks down everything: the ability to enter a requisition, the need to create a purchase order, the function for processing receiving reports. Every detail is spelled out. You can't leave anything to chance.
With that detailed map in hand, it's finally time to start exploring. And you're navigating a vast, and let's be honest, pretty confusing marketplace of ERP vendors. The big goal here is to find the right path, and, just as importantly, to avoid all the dead ends.
And the journey starts in a place that is just crowded. Seriously, the team could be looking at more than 20 different vendors. And you can bet every single one of them is saying they have the perfect one-size-fits-all solution. It can feel pretty overwhelming.
So how in the world do you narrow that down? Well, you don't just throw a dart at a board. There's a method to the madness. The team starts watching online demos, they read through all the marketing materials, they get on the phone for discovery calls with the vendors, and often they'll bring in outside consultants to get a fresh perspective.
Okay, check this out. This chart shows that whole filtering process in action. It's like a giant funnel. You see how that works? You start with that huge pool of 20-plus vendors. After just watching some demos, boom, you cut that number in half, down to 10. Then, after some serious calls, you're down to 5. The goal is to get to a short list of just 3 or 4 real contenders that you're going to evaluate much, much more deeply.
Any wise adventurer knows that the true cost of a quest isn't just the price tag on the treasure chest at the end. It's everything you spend to get there. In the ERP world, we call this the total cost of ownership, and it's a really big deal.
Okay, now this is where we need to bust a huge myth. A lot of people think the biggest check you're going to write is for the software license itself, but as you can see here, that is almost never the case. Not even close.
This chart tells the real story. Just look at that. The software license fee is actually the smallest bar. The biggest investment, by a long shot, is in what the experts call the soft stuff. We're talking about the cost of consultants to help you implement it, the cost of training every single employee on the new system, and just the massive effort of managing that change across the entire company. That's where the real money goes.
All right, we're in the home stretch of the selection quest.
The final step is to forge a strong, lasting alliance with the vendor you've chosen. And that all comes down to negotiating the final contract.
So when you get to the negotiating table, you have to play both the short game and the long game. For the short game, you can often get a nice little discount if you agree to be a reference for them in the future. But the long game is way more important. You have to think about what might happen down the road. What if your company merges or expands? A good contract plans for that stuff, so you don't get hit with a bunch of surprise fees later on.
And there you have it. With a signed contract, the selection quest is officially over. A success. But is the journey really finished? Not even close. As this slide asks, what happens next? Well, choosing the software was just the first step. The much larger, more complex adventure of implementation is just about to begin. But that is a story for another explainer.